Hello once again to the Blender Robot Manufactory. And today on the stream we're going to be starting a new project. Just bringing up our projects panel. So we're up to friendly robots, and today we're going to be modeling a robot in Blender. It's going to be pretty small on screen, but we're going to try to pack a lot of really cool details into there. And maybe this time, or maybe in a few episodes, we're going to get to modeling that. And I think it's going to be really interesting, so stick with me, and we'll have a look at that in just a moment. Hey there, my name's Jory, and this is the Blender Robot Manufactory. I'm a 3D artist and game designer currently making a roguelike platformer in Unity 3D. On this live stream, I give a window into my process of creating models in Blender. We'll be learning the basic commands and techniques I use to create a range of designs for my video game, from furniture to robots to animated human characters. I'll also show how I create models for use in 3D printing. Since we'll be focusing on my personal workflow, this channel will not be a comprehensive course, and many features of Blender will never be covered. However, this channel is meant to be a great jumping off point if you've never used Blender before. We'll also be covering topics that are interesting at any skill level, like what makes a good design, how to generate ideas for unique creations, and how to compose shapes in three-dimensional space to create models that look great from any angle. So whether you've never made a 3D model and would love to learn, you've been doing it for years, or you just want to hang out, relax, and enjoy my process, please tune into the Blender Robot Manufactory on Twitch TV. Alright, so before we go into Blender, I think I'd like to take a look at the resource images that we found last time. So just going into our web browser. And last time we talked about incorporating some different shapes from flies into there. Maybe getting some kind of grabber arm that looked like a beetle snap. Still a little up in the air, but we'll figure out what looks good once we start going there. Once we start making it in Blender. And besides that, I don't so much want to incorporate the shapes of crows, but more the movements of crows fighting over pieces of scrap. So we'll see how that turns out. And what else have we got? So probably make some kind of compressed gas jet that allows this robot to move around. And since last show, I just realized there's one other thing I'd really like to see in here. Give me one moment. Just moving this around so you can still see the Blender window. That looks better. So the other thing that I would really like to add here is I'd also like this to have some kind of gas bag inside of it. It's going to be propelling itself in the air with these little jets of gas. But I think it's going to be more believable if it also has some kind of passive way to hover that isn't constantly shooting out more compressed gas. So let's see what we can find. Maybe some kind of hot air balloon might be a good inspiration for this. Although I would like this to be something that, you know, feels a little more contained than a hot air balloon, since that's just going to continually put more air up there. But let's just get an image of that. And yeah, we're gonna be building a cube today. This is our base cube, but then we can combine it into more cubes to make our super cube, which will combine with even more cubes to make the uber cube. And then Once we get that, we can combine that with at least 7 other cubes, and when we get the ultimate ultra cube. And that's going to be our final cube, so probably about 1,000,000 polygons in that. But I think we're going to be really happy when we get that super ultra cube, because it's the final form of all cubes. So we are going to look for some kind of blimp. And let me see. These are pretty good, but I like to go with older resource images, so maybe some kind of World War II blimp. See what we got there. And, you know, not so much different from a modern blimp, but something like that might be a good one. Oh no, this super ultra ultimate cube's going to be about 2 billion vertices, possibly infinite vertices. So we'll see when we get there. So a Zeppelin's a good idea. Let's see what that looks like. So pretty close to the blimp, but maybe a little longer in cases. Just get that into our images. And what about some kind of weather balloon? Oh, those are kind of boring to look at, but this one might be alright. See if we got anything else interesting here. So I do like that, I don't know, these are unmanned craft, although a lot of them just look like a regular party balloon, so that doesn't really do much for the project. But let's go back up here. I don't know, something like one of these might be interesting with more tapered sides to it. Early weather balloon. Don't want to make something that looks too poppable, so I might go a little more with Zeppelins for the inspiration, but let's see. Yeah, I think that's about all we're gonna find. City of Corridors is suggesting some kind of World War I balloon. Let's have a look at that. Now that's interesting. This one might be a little more like what we want. Let's have a look. Yeah, those are looking a lot more delicate than the World War II balloons. Let's see what Civil War balloon pops up. So, let's see if we have anything that's a lot different in how its shape is. So yeah, kind of similar all around. I'm thinking maybe this balloon just deflates when the air is sucked out of a room. So maybe some kind of, I don't know, some kind of closed bottom would make sense. So I think that's enough images to get started with. Just one more thing I saw. So something like that. So now we got just loads of images. Just open all of these so we can see them a bit larger. And this one too. Alright, and now we just got loads and loads of resource images. So we'll see what we can do with all of these. And going back into Blender. Right now we just have the cube, but like I said, this is going to turn to the Mega Ultra Transforming Cube, so that's not going to be a problem. And I think maybe I'd like to start with that balloon shape and just base everything around that. So I'm going to delete the cube for now. Don't worry, it's coming back, but in stronger, more powerful form. And we'll just start with a nice circle there. 32 vertices is a little much for the scale of this thing. So, hey, let's do 12 to start with, see how that looks. Go over here, put it at the center of the scene. And now I'm just going to start extruding this and see what we can build up in terms of a basic balloon shape. So extrude that. Going to go ahead and flip these faces. And we just want some kind of, actually gotta try that again. Just move this straight up so we can get a nice cylindrical opening on this. Then extrude that again, taper it out. Maybe it will be more of one of these things where it, I don't know, it goes up a bit before going into the spherical shape. So pull that out, extrude some more. Extrude some more. Keep extruding. And that's probably good for now. How many vertices are we at? 73. Sorry, 73 faces already. That might not be so bad, so. Maybe a little more to get the rounding on this. So that's a good thing to start with. Gotta do smooth shading so it looks a little more balloon-like. And I think we still will want this somewhere near the center of the object. Like I said, we don't want it like hanging out where it can just get popped. So, and this thing's going to be pretty tiny on screen, so I'm just zooming out here to see what it looks like. And maybe I'd like to transition to some kind of square shape after this. So, yeah, just go ahead and set up this. No, I'll leave that as a separate object for now. So now let's just make a cube to start on the rest of this. Move that to the center. Scoot this down. And let's see, so what? So let me think about this. This balloon is always going to need to point up, but I would like some kind of grabber arm that can face in any direction. I'm just thinking about how this should work. So maybe the grabber arm could even be forward of the balloon. I'm going to go ahead and import, append some other models so I can get an idea for scale. Like I said, the scale of this thing is going to be the trickiest part, because we want to add some nice visual interest but not get it, make it so that we can't even see what we're making when this actually is in game. So items, tools. Bunsen burner is a good thing to measure against. There we go. So I'm thinking this robot's going to be about the size of this object on screen. So we'll see if we can make something that looks interesting at that scale. Scale this on down. Whoop, just make these the same object. There we go. pull this over. So already this balloon is just about the size of our Bunsen burner. I don't know, maybe it could be something that just goes above this thing. It's possible it won't even have a balloon. Now that I'm thinking about it, it might get in the way of the arm a little too much. But let's just see what we can do. So I'll just leave this balloon as something that may or may not be there. Just move it over to some other layer. And for now, let's maybe try to get some kind of grabber arm going. So we had a few different ideas for this last time. Either some kind of beetle shape or possibly really long, thin fly legs. And maybe a little of both in there. You know, it's not going to be an exact copy of either. Though I do like the asymmetry in this, where maybe one side of the arm's a little longer than the other one. So maybe we'll start with this. I think I'll model this going straight down. So I extrude this. And scale that down a little. Actually, let's just divide this in two to start out. Extrude that. And scale that down. There we go. And what else can we do here? Get that to a nice point at the bottom. And of course this won't exactly be like the beetle arm, but it's a good starting point. So now maybe I'll delete this piece, since we'll want these two fingers of the arm to be a little more separated. And I'll just copy this over to get the other part started. Put a bottom on this. And just see what we can do with making another smaller finger on this. There we go, just extrude this all out. And at least with this beetle, it meets it a little far from the tip. Maybe we'll try to copy that. Scale this down a little. There we go. Make this arm significantly thinner. The really thin tip. And maybe that's something we can work with. Now, I like to think of in-game reasons for why these things are the way they are. So maybe the reason that this one extends farther is that's not just a claw, but it's also some kind of repair foam sprayer. So let's have another look. Foam sprayer, maybe. Let's see if there's anything interesting in here. I don't know, just some kind of nozzle. Doesn't have to be much. we go. So I'll just make a separate object to start this off. Move it to the center. But that's actually the same object, so I'm going to be deleting that, making a new cube, move that to the center. And we don't need to worry about the scale too much right now. And then just get that top face in there. Scale these to make a bit of a cylindrical shape. You know what, that's gonna be tiny, I don't need that. Scale this down. Let's see what we can do for a foam sprayer. Yeah, I hope the connection's okay. Let me see. So then just make a little tapering on this foam sprayer. Extend this. Maybe taper this down just a little bit. Move this up. Maybe we can do like a little, some kind of little tank up here for the foam sprayer to attach to. Do something to make this a little more interesting. And let's try a 6-part circle for this little tank. Move this to the center. And I apologize if video's a little jerky. Apparently we're getting some dropped frames. Move this up, flip those faces, and we'll just scale this down a bit, just make a little tank for this foam sprayer to feed off of. There we go, maybe do the same thing down here. And maybe I'll leave that asymmetrical. So I think we can leave this at the base of the arm. Maybe do a little bit of a hose. Kind of looks like a cake decorating tool. Still feel like it needs something to really make it pop as some kind of nozzle. So maybe I'll move this in. And pull both of these up a little. There we go. See if that looks a little better. And try to get this looking straight. Move this over here. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this part and move this little foam sprayer on here. Maybe I'll even have this pointing straight down. Be a little less like this beetle image we were working with. But that way, wherever the claw's pointing, it can also spray foam at it. So join those together. And just merge these. There we go. And that's the thing about resource images. It's, you start out trying to get some inspiration from them. But if you have an idea or you have some interesting direction you want to go with that, you're not at all tied to what the resource image is showing, or, even to stick at all with your original idea. They're all about just getting some shapes built up, starting to think about what you want to do, and expressing something in your own voice. So let's just hinge these together. Going to snap this in place. Whoop, turn off snapping, extrude a little more. And now we've got a hinge to start with. Let me move this back up. There we go. This is going to all be rotating on this one point. Maybe the foam sprayer won't even move. It's just going to be this claw part moving around. Yeah, I think I'll shrink this down a bit. Move this up. And then, since these are separate parts, I think I'll keep these on different objects until the last minute. Go over here and separate selection. And let's just put the origin around the hinge piece so we can see this thing opening and closing. Set origin to 3D cursor. So that could be cool. It's gonna look something like that when it's grabbing things. And I think it worked rather well when I was coloring things in as I went. Lets you get a better idea of what it's gonna look like. So let me see. Just go here, and I'm just going to unwrap these real fast, get some color built up on here. There we go. And I don't really know what color these are going to be. I think I'd like them to stand out pretty well even though they're small, so maybe some red and green. Just do all, whoops, do all red on that for now. Unwrap this. And let's just make that a different color. And maybe it's a darker red. Move this over here. But this foam sprayer bit's going to be a different color. And for this tiny bit here, maybe just make it black. And darker blue for this. And for this tank, I think we're going to do a little cracked canary egg blue. Move that over there. But for this piece, I think make it lighter, so more of a radioactive sunrise blue. And put that on radioactive sunrise blue too. And I seem to have extruded this one way down. I don't know what's going on there. Just delete that face and start over. There we go. And now, I think we're going to make some kind of hose going from our tank to the rest of it. And we'll see if we can actually see any of these details at the scale this is going to be. So just making a little inset in here for that hose. This is a little bit like the wires we were making in the last episode with the machine. I'm just going to move this over here. We'll make some more segments in that in a minute. And let me see, this is the hinge piece. These two can be joined. Make a little inset in here for the hose to go in. Move this here and move this here. And if you're just joining us for the first time, today we're going to be making a little robot that flies around this space station in the game that I'm making. And this is just the claw that it's going to be using. And what this robot does is it just flies around, and if it sees anything broken, it fixes it. So like if a wire is cut, it puts the wire back together. If there's a broken window exposing everyone to the deadly vacuum of space, then it's this robot's job to fix that up, patch the window. And, you know, just whatever needs fixing, this thing's there to get repaired. So I'm thinking this is probably going to be a stationary part, so we can just go ahead and connect that right to the tank of, whatever this is, goo, I guess. Repair goo. Move this out here. There we go. And we're already getting some cool shapes built up here. Just positioning the What's She Building in their screens so people coming in for the first time can get a really good look at this monstrosity. There we go. And, what else can we do? I'm thinking that we're going to need some kind of arm going up to the rest of this thing. And maybe this is where our fly comes in. We can have tiny little fly legs that extend and retract this where needed. So I'm just going to go ahead and save this. Call it, should really be organizing these better. Call it Fixer Bot 1. There we go. Yeah, maybe I will have both of these rotating. But it might be cool if they're rotating from different points. So maybe I could get a hinge built up right here. Move this tank forward a bit. There we go. Pull this back. And then, yeah, that would be pretty cool. This one moves out from that hinge. This moves out from here when it grabs. Always looking for more interesting ways that these can move. And maybe I'll shrink this along one axis a little bit. we go. Doesn't have to be totally circular. Alright, and then we're going to get another part, just get a cube to start building that up. And we'll just be setting this to smooth shading. It's eventually all going to be smooth shading. There we go. And this one too. And already this is getting more of a organic look to it. Moving this up. And I think this is going to be the wrist of it. So I'm just going to extrude this back here, get one more connection point. There we go, move that up there. And I don't think that'll interfere with the tank. Could probably even move that tank back a little. Let's see if we can't get a better place for this tank. Select all of those. And I just want this somewhere that's gonna silhouette nicely. Maybe even right there. Nah. That really nicely attached to the wrist, I think. Move this over here. Just going to scale this down so it looks more like it's its own attachment point. And just taper this down a little bit. Pull this in. There we go. This whole thing's gonna be really spindly. Now that this is attached, the wrist isn't silhouetting that well. But maybe now that I've moved it over, it'll work a little better. Even put this back here. Yeah, I kind of like that. There we go. So again, this whole thing's gonna be tiny. So let's move our balloon over there. I'm going to scale this whole thing down and see if it even reads. So I think that's going to read a little bit. Those little details definitely, definitely are going to do something for it. Might be a little hard picking all of them out. But one thing we're going to need to do, since this is so tiny, is make each one of these more chunky. Should help you to, pick out little things like this is a hand. This is some kind of sprayer nozzle. Do one more extrusion here. There we go. So now I guess we're getting more of a lobster claw look, which is fine. And I'm just going to chunk up this piece too. And just pull this out. There we go, maybe even chunkier than the other claw. Pull this claw out a little more too. And then move all this down. There we go, so that's reading better. I could probably extend this way a little bit too, so let's go ahead and do that. There we go. And maybe I can make this hose a little chunkier too, just get all those elements reading well from a good distance away. Scale this out, and this one, and this one. I think I'd like this hose to be a different color from the tank. Yeah, but maybe not yellow. That'll work for now. And also get this attachment a little bigger. But I still want some good variation in here, so see if I can't shrink one of these, maybe two of them. There we go, so we're getting pretty, I think that's an elephant beetle we started with. We're getting pretty far from the elephant beetle look. But we're getting some interesting shape built up because we start off with that. So now let's unwrap this. There we go. And let's see if we can't get some good color on there. I don't know if this whole claw is going to be red. We'll see how that goes. And I'm not too crazy about this big flat portion here, so I'll complicate that shape a little bit. I don't really know what's going to go there, just some kind of little detail. There we go. Extend this. Again, not sure what this is, but I think it'll look better with this on there. Sometimes with machines, you know, you don't have to be too explicit about what they're doing. If you just put a little square here, a little detail there, people can fill it in with their imaginations. And maybe we'll even extend that a little more, make it more of an antenna. See what happens when that rotates. So that might not work too well. Let's make this a little smaller and a little more forward so that the antenna can actually work there. See what happens when it rotates now. Alright, so that's got some good range of movement with that little piece there. And I might like this a little chunkier too. Maybe put, I don't know, one of these has to be on the front of this. Let me see. I like to mirror this actually, so that's not interfering with this other joint. So this is the y-axis, so we're going to object, mirror, y-axis. We're going to try that again, object, mirror, y-axis. There we go. Let's pull that back into place. And now this antenna actually wants to go the other way. Move that over here, and let's see how that looks. So now that has a really good range of motion. And something to be aware of with that mirror tool is it, I don't know, maybe oh no, they didn't fix it. So what that does is it just gives it a negative scale. So you could do this manually by just putting a minus before the scale. So I just need to apply the scale and, well, not the rotation, just the scale. You can see that flips all of the normals, so just flipping those back. All right, so now just make that joint a little heftier to go with the rest of them. Move that out. And if you just join us for the first time, we're making a little robot that hovers around and fixes things on the space station in my game. So things are always breaking down, like blocks get destroyed by a vial of acid, or the player clips wires, or there's just a bunch of trash laying on the floor and it needs to pick it up. So what this robot does is it flies around and keeps everything clean and working. And also, these robots aren't coordinated too well, so they fight with each other for trash. So, you know, if one of them has a piece of trash, like a little casing from a bullet or something, the other ones are going to grab it away. And so we're going to try to get a little bit of like the motion of crows fighting for trash in here. So I think that's a good shape for the grabber arm. So now we're going to want some little jets to keep this thing hovering. And we're going to want to position them in such a way that this arm can just move all around without the jets needing to move. So let's have a look at our resource images, see what kind of jets we got. And we still haven't really incorporated the shape of that fly there, but we'll probably get in there somehow. And I don't know, just tubes to start out with. I kind of do like the shape of this. So going back to Blender. And now we're going to add another cube. And just move that to the center. And let me see, so these jets can't be too large, but again, we do want those visible. And maybe a circle would be a better place to start with this, actually. So let's just create a circle, give it 6 signs, move that to the center. And move this up. Right now, I don't know, for some reason this isn't centered. Let's try making another one. So go to a circle again, put it at the center, That's looking better. So now I'm going to extrude this, move it up, flip those faces, and we'll just start building up a little detail on this. So let's have another look at that resource image we're working from. So a lot of little insets, outsets. We've got this shape in the center of the jet, which I like. So let's start off with that. Maybe this will be pointing up. So just inset this. And maybe we'll even move this in a little. There we go. Inset it, extrude it, scale it down. And let's turn these to smooth so it's a little more obvious that we're working with a smooth part. Scale this down. There we go. And get a little color on this while we work. Now I'm thinking I'd like the jets to stand out pretty well, so I'm not sure what color these should be. Maybe we'll try gray for a change. There we go. So this thing kind of flanges out right before the tip of the jet. That's already looking better. I'm just playing around with different shapes, seeing what will work well for this. Even scale that in a little more. Extrude this, scale it out. There we go. And thinking we'll make these pretty stubby, pretty large. Really get those visible from a long way off. So let's have a look at this. I think this is actually where those thin fly arms are going to come in handy. So we can have those moving the jets around. And I wonder how many of these this really needs. So I'm just going to copy and move these around. I think you could probably maneuver with just like 2 or 3 of them. Probably 2 would be believable. No, I think I'll go with 3. So we can have these 3 jets on the different sides moving it around. And that also means that if I have 3, these don't really need to point as much. Not sure if I like that though. Maybe instead we'll actually get the 3rd one on the bottom, maybe even a little larger. See what that looks like. So actually going to copy this, just move this around. Let's try again, idea of where these jets should be. Maybe those could angle back, duplicate this. Could have one pointing forwards here, although that kind of interferes with the arm. Maybe one at the center would be good. Yeah, I think that's probably what I should do. So, Let me think. It's got these two jets that point down pretty much all the time. And then maybe it has a bigger jet in the center, and that one can rotate around just like the arm to tell it where it needs to go. And when this thing's in microgravity, it could just turn off these other jets. Or, I don't know, maybe use them for extra thrust. Or maybe just kind of tuck them in. Might have a special microgravity state. So for now, we know where these jets are going to be, but I'm going to try to model these in more of a neutral pose so they're easier to animate later. Just copying this, moving it over to a different scene for safekeeping. What have we got over here? Oh yeah, the gas bag. We might still use that. Move this over here, pull it up there, and go over here. So now, let's see, we're going to... Don't jump a shark, City of Corridors. So, now let's have a look at those fly legs we were looking at earlier. See if those are useful now. So I really like that, just really long legs. Maybe we could even do one per jet, see what that's like. So, sorry, I got too many windows open here. And we will want some kind of central body, still deciding what that's going to be. Maybe I'll just copy this balloon and put it there as a stand-in. Scale that way down, put it in back. Put it over here. And what the heck, let's just color this in. So mesh, UV unwrap. Let's see what we can do with that. And if you're just joining us, what we're doing today is we're making a little robot that can, it's going to fly around the game that I'm making. The whole thing's inside this giant space station. And this robot's job is to fix anything that gets broken on the station. So it fixes wires, it fixes broken windows that expose the delicate humans to the harsh vacuum of space. If it finds a lot of bullet casings around it, tries to remove those and clean up. So this robot's just going to be this really tiny little thing that's doing a lot of important work on the station. And what I'm doing right here is I'm going to try to go for a little bit of a hot air balloon look with this. So it's going to be a nice stripe, maybe dark green to light green for the gas bag. And when this thing goes into vacuum, it's probably going to deflate its gas bag. And I think this might actually be something I can keep on the model. There we go. So, this over here is an object in our game that's about this big on screen. What? Go over here, see if we can just get the comparison. So let's have a look at how well you can see this. So I think some of those shapes are still going to come through. Maybe I could even attach these jets to the gas bags a little, so... Yeah, we could have one here, one over here. Doesn't have to be a central gas bag. maybe even remove this one. Let's think about how that would work. So maybe we got this here, this here. They're behind the arms, so we don't gotta worry about that getting in the way. And then we got these jets here, and I'm thinking maybe those don't fire unless this thing, unless it gets exposed to vacuum and it can't hover in the air. Maybe this could be a little less hot air balloon-like, so move that in a bit. I think that might look better. Put a mirror modifier on there. There we go. So just move that out and see what we can do with that. So getting a lot of shapes going here. And just pulling all of this, scooting it over to right between those. And probably I'm not going to model this there, but just for the sake of figuring this thing out. So that would probably still be pretty small. Of course, we don't want to detract from this arm too much. So maybe I'll move all this in a bit. Yeah, that would work well. Then these could be a little closer to the center of mass. Yeah, that's cool. And then move this up here, and this would be the rotating jet. So these might even be fixed position jets. All they really do is keep it upright if there's gravity and vacuum. So let's just move this in a bit, make it a little more stubby. Kind of emphasize that this is a different kind of jet from that other one. There we go. And maybe even move this part in. Flyers are really tricky in this game because, there's a lot of different conditions. Sometimes you're in more gravity, sometimes less. Sometimes there's air, sometimes there isn't. So, like to set this thing up so that it can respond to a lot of different conditions. And on top of that, I still kind of care about realism. So, I'd prefer it if this thing isn't just hovering in the air constantly, which is where the balloons come in. And let's see, let's move these jets back and really move those in. Just give this arm a way to silhouette really well. And let's see how this looks. So I'm gonna put the origin of this in the center so we can really see it rotating around. We are going to Tools and setting the origin to the 3D cursor. And apparently it won't let me rotate all of those like that, so. Cool, so that looks pretty good with that rotating around there. Just notice those little balloons look like watermelons when they're this color. Maybe we'll make those blue. There we go. And I think the other part is going to be like a little central tank in there. So now I'm just gonna see if I can't get some more interesting colors on these little jets. There we go. And what color should the jets be? Let's go with gray. It's a nice metallic color there. Get some more detail on there. A little darker. Make this part really dark. And maybe even some red up here. There we go. I think we'll do blue for that. And green. Oh no, still deciding what color these should be. Blue really does look best. And then maybe a little band around here. There we go. And what else? Probably some kind of central tank here. Yeah, we're going to need a central tank and also some kind of rotating propulsion system. Though what I just realized is maybe that propulsion system doesn't need to be separate from the arm. It would be kind of neat if it's always thrusting in the opposite direction of where the arm's pointing. Might unify this whole thing a bit. So maybe we'll just mount this other thruster on the back of the arm, see if that looks good. And I think the central tank probably goes right between these two little jets. So maybe I'll just move these out just a little bit. Grab this too, move that out a little. Maybe move these balloons up a bit. And then I'm just going to extrude that. And I don't quite know how this should look. Maybe just meet those in the center and see if I can work backwards to get the jets into place. There we go. Now try to get that looking more like a regular tank. Just reposition what's she building in there. It's from Tom Waits' song that I really like. What's she building in there? What the hell is she building in there? And just scale this down. There we go. So that's really not looking tank-like. Maybe I'll disconnect this until I can figure that out. Dissolve And just dissolve this piece. Delete those vertices. And extrude this. Turn clipping off, extrude that. And maybe I'd even like a circle with some more sides for the central tank. So just sit tight with those jets. They'll get attached pretty soon. Create a circle. Let's do 12 vertices for this one. Really go nuts. And did I center this? I did not. So let's delete that. And then we're going to make another circle. Let's try 8 vertices this time. Nah, 12. But this time we're going to center it in our scene because this is the best time to do that. Then I think maybe we'll see this edge on. So just rotating that, doing 90 degrees rotation. And scale this down. And just make a little canister there. So I'm ooh, not like that. Never like that. All right, we're going to extrude this out. There we go. And just scale this down a bit. Move it up. Get a nice circular tank to fit this around. There's like some rounded edges on this tank. Move this over here, scale it down. There we go. And I don't think I want it straight back, maybe more at an angle. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. How many vertices have we got? Not a lot. Probably a little more paranoid about the resolutions of these models than I need to be. But I would like the game to be able to draw a lot of shadows on all of this, even on lower end computers. So I like to go for lower polygon models when I can. There we go, that's more like it. Right now, there we go, just move this tank over, move it back. There we go, and I think this piece is actually on the wrong layer, so we'll move that over. That's starting to look interesting. Can I angle this a little? Yeah, I think I'd like to, actually. More interesting if it isn't symmetrical. And got in the wrong mode. Don't actually want to weight paint that. So now, let me see, do some smooth shading on there. And going to UV unwrap all that. There we go. I'm just going to unwrap this. And I do have a whole lot of blue in here. I don't know, maybe try for a green tank this time. There we go, just scale that down. Maybe a little darker. And do a lighter band in there. Maybe even some red on top. And maybe some gray for this top part. No, I do like blue. So what else does this thing need? It's got a pretty whimsical propulsion method. This is going to be rotating around there. Maybe move these jets back a little. And scoot all this back a little bit more. And this is how wide the other piece is, so we should still have some room to work with in that regard. So maybe I could get some kind of cross piece going along here, just kind of tie it all together. Do an inset here. And extrude that out a bit. Maybe we can meet those in the center. Looks like I need to turn on clipping for these. There we go. Right now I'm just building up the center of this a bit, try to get all these different shapes connected a little. Move this out. There we go. And I kind of like how that looks. Just have this cradle the tank of gas a little bit. And move this gas up. Even extend this more to really meet up with the gas tank. Don't know if it's necessary. There we go, those look connected. So now zoom in on this. And we're going to want something to anchor the arm to all of this. I'll just, sorry, I'll knife cut over here. Turn on snapping, move this here. And the textures on these are looking pretty weird, so we'll try to mess with that a little. Really, all of these need to be changed around. There we go. And make a better mount for the arm. Cool, it's looking more interesting. Make this arm mount a bit thicker. Pull that in with snapping. Then move this out here. There we go. And now I've got a central pivot point for that arm. Get that a bit thicker. And that's looking pretty good on the size. Now I'm going to want this jet up here to be attached to the arm, so it's thrusting in the opposite direction of the arm. Kind of a whimsical little robot. Move this up here a bit. And I think I can start attaching those. So just join those together. Let's see how that looks when I rotate them around. So just set the origin to that point. Tools, set origin to 3D cursor. And just have a quick look at how that rotation works. Doesn't look like it intersects with anything. the reach beyond these balloons isn't terribly good. Might like it to extend a little farther out, or I don't know, maybe not extend out there all the time, but be able to go out there. So yeah, I think I'd like this arm sticking out more, you know, when it isn't retracted. So maybe I'll separate this jet piece for a minute. And I'll get some more interesting colors on this jet. Maybe kind of mirror what I did over with these to, you know, make it look a little more designed. Do a dark green around this one. And the tips of those are light blue. And black for this piece. There we go. Make one more division there. And I think I like these to look like they're feeding into that tank a little more. So I'm just going to and maybe I'll make those into squares. Just merge that. Where should I merge these? Merge there. Merge there. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just extend this up a little more. And really make those look like they're feeding into the tank. There we go. So now it's got these better defined tubes going in. And for that, I think I'd like a different color. Blue would probably be good for this too. And now I think I'll move this arm down because I'd really like it to extend farther. So that's still not too far off of what we wanted with this size requirements. And this might be where those spindly legs come in. So I think I'll make some kind of cube in the center just to give us a start for this pivot point. There we go, just scale that down. This one's kind of off center, isn't it? Or the cube is. Let's try to center this jet. We'll just use a mirror modifier to get that nicely centered. Delete this side of it. And, oh, music keeps stopping. There we go. And then adding a, probably want to do the same thing with this cube so the mirror modifier works. There we go. Just what needs to turn on clipping. There we go. So I can probably leave that mirror on. Move this in a little more to that pivot point. I don't know, maybe this jet could extend a bit. Really get that sticking away from the body. And this is starting to come together. So the whole thing's gonna be rotating around here. And maybe I'll make this tank a little more spindly. There we go. Don't want to hide that, the tank back there too much. We'll move this up. And get the cube as the attachment point. Go, snap that in place. So now we're going to want some arms that kind of push this part out. And maybe get those kind of insect-like. But I'm thinking something that really, I don't know, gets really compact so it's not taking up a lot of space when this thing isn't extended. And probably needs some kind of eye too. Wonder if maybe these balloons could be a little bigger. Scale those up a bit. Yeah, I'm liking that. And maybe just one long arm that, I don't know, just kind of kinks all over the place. So let's make a new piece for that. this down. Let's get this centered. And the small's going pretty fast. And let's just see what we can do for a spindly arm. There we go, pull this down. And let's have a look at that resource image. So, it's got two big segments and then it just kind of has this wispy bit. Now, I've been saying the whole episode that we're gonna use that fly piece. So let's see if we can get something that looks halfway decent with that. Maybe that'll be two separate pieces though. Undo all that. And we'll just have two different hinged joints. So move this up, move it up here. They'll actually start inside of there. Get a little mouth in here. Get these lines up. Just giving this joint a little place that can move around inside. There we go. One of these is out of place. Try moving that down. There we go. Just get all these shapes built up. And it might actually look better if I removed this piece. The player is going to be seeing it from the front all the time. So we want the parts to be really visible from the front. And give this a little bevel. Move this down here. There we go, it's got something to rotate against. Gonna try to make this part kind of spindly compared to the rest of it. And get another piece over here. So then when those are retracted, we got, oh no, this goes to the side here, this goes in there. for the fun part, we're going to have some kind of really weird spindly thing coming off here. Those other parts weren't the fun part. This right here is the fun part. Am I duplicating a bunch of faces here? Probably not. Just scale that down. There we go. Now we're just going to extrude here. It's just like pulling a weasel out of a hole. There we go. And I'm thinking maybe these extend even a little farther. And that way they're probably going to be cocked to the side a little bit. You know, you don't want them straight out when this thing's carrying something. Which I mean it would be like this and I don't know, like that. No, I think I'd like this spindly bit to be more. So we'll just say it has a little rigid joint there, and the rest of this is just wonkified. Maybe even pull this in more. Really want this wonkified bit to stand out. Why does it do that? Nobody knows. This thing's gonna be fun to animate. There we go. Just figuring out a good resting pose for that. And how does this look from the scale? You'd actually see it. That little spindly thing's gonna be pretty much non-existent. But we did want something weird on there. Pull this out a bit more. And there we go, that looks better. And I'll just meet this up with the spindly arm piece. Let's see, maybe I'll move this up to connect with that. Scale that out a bit. And what else does this thing need? Color this in. And what color would look good for that? Probably blue. Of course, with this little wavy bit, actually feels like it's going to need, it's going to need to sway around a little bit in the breeze. Not quite sure how I'm going to get that working in Unity 3D. Could probably set up so it has different animations for going up, down, left, and right. And I can just kind of blend those depending on what direction it's going in. Then it just kind of sucks all of this in when it isn't extended. I think I'll go ahead and connect these. Bridge these edge loops. And let's see. This part should be a different color. What would look good for this? Haven't used green for a while. This should be something different too. I don't think that's UV unwrapped yet. There we go. Maybe another green for that. Kind of a fun design for this. All of my robots wind up looking like weird aliens. So now, these balloons need a little work. Do you think they work out pretty well for this though? So let's see this thing rotating first. Where is the center? So just gonna test this out, see the origin to the 3D cursor. And that messed up our mirror modifier a bit, but this is just for testing. Okay, it really messed things up. But now we can have a look. And when it's extended, that does go beyond the balloons pretty well. I think it's just this side of believable that those balloons would do anything to help keep it up. Just want to get these balloons clear of the tank a little so I can connect them better. Where can I put these? There we go. And maybe just move these up here a little. Again, looks pretty wonky when I do that, but just seeing how the claws reach goes beyond the balloons. Zoom in on these. And I'm thinking we'll just want some little tubes to attach these balloons to the rest of it. So, inset, extrude these, and I want all of these to be, I don't know, probably some kind of metal color. Let's go with gray for now. Move these over here. So I actually would like these to be back where they were. And just take all of those and move them up here. That was our darkest, no, it wasn't our darkest blue. And move this over here. Sounds like the name of a science fiction novel, Darkest Blue. Move this over here, a little wider. And a little wider. There we go. So then, when this thing gets into microgravity, these balloons are just gonna completely collapse. Wait, no, not, well, yeah, maybe microgravity. Definitely when we get into vacuum, these balloons are gonna collapse. So just get some really thin tubes here. And I think maybe we can do some square attachments to get those on the rest of it. Even just merge these together. Is the frame rate any better? There we go. And since this is a tiny piece, we don't need a whole lot of faces in it. Merge there. There we go, and also here. Man, I just put a, I guess that's a 12-sided circle I made that with. There we go, that's a bit better. And then I think I'll just get some cubes to extend this. Oh man. I'll have to check out the video afterwards and see if it's all jerky. Right, so just making a cube to start this out. Move this up here. Just put down the same object to mirror it. There we go. And just another tube there, kind of mirror the shape of these jets down here. Maybe I can just merge those together. Getting this attached here. Let me see. Make a few cuts here to get that attached. Just dissolving the space where no one will ever see it. And then right here. And just pull this back into the tank. There we go. And I think I'd like this to be the same gray as the tubes coming out of there. So this side is going in nicely, but I'm going to need to pull it in a little more to get that other side going into the tank. Well, it looks like the color didn't quite take on that. Or it's just the wrong color. So let's try that again. No, it actually is the right color. There we go. But is this the right color? No, it isn't. There we go. So now I got those balloons attached there. I'm wondering how those are going to deflate when these things aren't in use. They could just kind of go into the base of the balloon, or I can make a bit more of a space here for them. Maybe get these feeling more like pieces of metal. I'll move this down there. And get rid of that, I don't know, hot air balloon feel. There we go. So now these balloons can just collapse into this piece here. What else does this need? This part might be a little thin, at least going in this direction. Move that out. And I don't know if this thing really needs eyes. As small as it is on screen, can kind of leave it up to the imagination how this thing is sensing its environment. So this claw is going to be more like that when it isn't carrying something. All right, just got another idea. So, I don't know, maybe this claw only faces in the direction of the engine if it isn't carrying something, and then if it's carrying something, it goes straight down. Which means we'll have to rework this a little bit so it's not interfering with the engine. Let's see what that looks like straight down. I'll just put that at 180 rotation for now. They could probably flatten out this jet a bit. Select all of these bits. There we go, and just scale this down a little so that I actually got a lot more room to move. I can, let's move that to its original position and just get that closer to the other stuff. There we go, that'll be better. Whoops, something got a little wonky with the mirror modifier on this. Gotta check if we have extra faces in here. No, I think it's still good. Just apply this mirror. There we go. Now swing this down. Just almost to the point where we, oh no, I don't need to worry about that. Can move this whole bit forward. Let's see what we're working with here. So I do still want to slide that around. I'd really like this claw to be pretty near to the center of the scene so that, you know, it can grab objects that are also at the center. And how's this moving? So maybe my best bet's to just swing this up a bit. Could put that there. And this piece doesn't have a lot of range. We'll figure this out. Maybe make this jet a little shorter. There we go. Move this. That's not right at all. Select all of these and this. Move that up. And then I could just use this spindly bit to get all that out of the way. Yeah, it really does sound like Star Control 2. It's a great game. going to move all these out of the way a little more. And let's see, the jet, still kind of shooting into the rest of this. I can slide this up. And like get this bit more out of the way of the jet. And I think that leaves this enough room to maneuver. And I'll get these lined up more. There we go, and I think that's going to allow both of these enough room to maneuver around each other. So I think it might have been a bit of a boondoggle getting, I don't know, getting this notch in here if we just want the arm to sometimes be able to rotate around it. Just getting rid of the extra vertices here. I think I can just dissolve that whole thing. Dissolve edges. That works well. You gotta shoot your boondoggles. There we go. Maybe this could be on the other side of this. There we go. Move this over here a little bit. It's not going to be doing a whole lot with this little piece, but I think it adds some visual interest if those can move independently. Center this on the other piece. And if you're just joining us for the first time, this weird looking thing we're making is a robot that moves around the game I'm making, Unity 3D. So what's going to be doing is fixing anything that gets broken on the space station. So it fixes windows and wires, carries trash around. And I think we may almost be ready to start rigging this thing up. Let me just move all around here, see if there's anything I'd like to change. Maybe we can make the colors here more interesting. There we go. Make that darker. And that's not actually on our texture, so let's fix that. UV unwrap. There we go. Just gotta shoot all your boondoggles. Cool, and this piece could be thinner, make that more interesting. There we go. So, And these rotate independently now. Probably. Looks like this wants its pivot point a little farther back. And that way when this thing's extended, we can get a little animation on this where it's swaying around as it moves. But then when it's all the way in, it can just move around with the rocket. So I'll give it some extra visual interest. Cool, so going to go ahead and save this. Save a second copy because I'm really liking how this is looking. And I think that might actually do it for today's episode. So we've pretty much gotten this little fixer robot all the way to where we want it, just deleting these extra pieces. And let's have a look at how this compares with our original goal for the size of this. So, you know, this model's going to be anywhere from maybe this big to this big in the game. So these fixer robots are going to be pretty tiny on screen, but I think they silhouette really well, which is going to help them stand out. We've, you know, these little bulbs of the balloons really make these look distinct from anything else in the game. And it's about the size I was hoping it would be. You know, this arm extending beyond the body is going to give it a bit of a, you know, it's going to make the profile a bit longer than I was thinking. Let's have a look at what this looks like when it's all the way in. So then this just contracts like that, and it's basically this size. So this thing's pretty spindly too, so I think it's going to read as a smaller robot than the player character. So just going to save this, and when we come in on the next show on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to start rigging this up and you know, gain some animations in here. We might actually finish all of that on the next episode. So I'm just going to try to go into here, add a bunch of cool little details, you know, make these balloons inflate and deflate, make this arm sway around when it's extended. I don't know what else. I'll probably handle rotating this bit actually in Unity 3D. So, you know, just make a bunch of different animations to really make this thing feel dynamic and alive. And then eventually I'll actually program these things so that they're flying around and fighting with each other. So again, that next episode is this Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And have a great day. And as always, remember to be the apex predator of your own ecosystem. And, thank you for staying with me after the outro sequence. Stick around. We're actually going to be trying to host this cool blender artist we found today. So, with me after the outro sequence. So I'm gonna be hosting them, and we'll have some fun watching their channel and see how that goes. Blender artist.